I know we need to move on, but I do want to just bring in one more story, and that is Laurence Fox losing his libel case. I'm going to be interviewing Laurence later today. After the show, we're going to play it out on tomorrow's show. Laurence Fox gave a statement outside the High Court. Basically, he was sued for libel by two men who he had labelled as paedophiles, to make a point that after they had called him racist, that you can't sling about basically, unfounded allegations, hateful allegations that damage people. A case involving Nicola Thorp here at TalkTV was thrown out on both sides. But he's lost that case. He says he's going to take it to the next court. I don't agree with everything he says or does. I've criticised him a number of times over, the language on GB News and things for which he lost his job there. But on this, I do defend him, because I know the point he was trying to make. I don't agree with everything he does. I don't agree with, putting pride flags together as a swastika. But I understand the point he, in a rather cat-handed way, was trying to make in all of these things. And I know in my absolute heart of hearts that man is not a racist as well. And yet this judge's ruling, where she refused to define what racism means, suggests to me that there is now a free-for-all, and anyone can call anyone a racist, and that's just fine.
That is the concern here, and it's not about the individual in question. It's not about Laurence Fox. It's not about the people suing him. The question is the point of principle and everyone's freedom to be able to express themselves. I think this is a very clear-cut example of the way in which libel laws can be weaponised to the ends of just bringing down people that someone happens to dislike.
And bear in mind, Laurence Fox was called a racist simply for saying on Question Time, the controversial thing he said on Question Time a few years back was that he didn't think that the country was racist. And I mean, that was the controversial thing he said. And
the double standard at the heart of this case, I think, is really telling, because of the fact that when Laurence Fox, as you say, is a kind of like a rhetorical stunt, essentially started referring to these people as paedophiles because they had called him a racist and accused him of racism. In their case, they absolutely claim to believe that. They stand by what is effectively that smear. In his case, he admits that this was a sort of stunt, this was making a point, this was a sort of rhetorical flourish.
He apologised to them in court. He made it was very, very clear that he wasn't... he was making, doing, as you say, a rhetorical point.
And his audience would have known what he was doing.
Yep.
People understood that this was not him lodging a serious allegation that he thought these people might have been kiddie fiddlers. That's not what he was doing. That was obvious to absolutely anyone. It's an insult to people's intelligence to suggest otherwise. And yet he's the one that the law comes down on hard on, whereas the people who were, again, throwing around their own accusations is absolutely fine. I mean,
but we're not
it's already open
season. They were not required to prove it. And they're saying that the argument from the judges that it's your own actions that made people think you're racist. But again, people not understanding the point he's making. If you think someone's racist because they refuse to say, I'm white and the country's largely white and therefore we're racist, then most of the people in this country are racist. And that means that word no longer has any meaning. And then when someone actually is racist and is genuinely discriminating against people, genuinely thinks that people are less than them because of the colour of their skin, you don't have a word for that anymore. And because someone voted Brexit, they were racist. You don't have a word for that. It's a complete and utter sort of a trashing of the English language and the definition of words.
And I think we're already there with the undermining of that language, the diluting of the word like racist. And I think it's actually a big problem, because when racism does rear its head, and it does from time to time, you do get actual racist individuals, influencers, people and so on. Our ability to call them out for that is really damaged by this kind of smearing and hurling of abuse, because people on social media, people in some of those dodgy influences kind of orbit will just say, well, you said that about everyone. You said that about Laurence Fox, you said that about Nicola Thorp.
It has almost lost its... Yeah, it's almost lost its meaning, but exactly.
So when the actual far right pops up, you're kind of disarmed from talking about it. I think we're already starting to see that.
Well, I say, we're going to be talking about that a bit later. Also, we're going to be talking to Laurence Fox about that later today. We're going to play that on tomorrow's show. You don't want to miss that.